Okay, it's the last visit to 2861 Turnpike Road. These columns, there's certain things I'll never forget. These brick bottoms and these other columns, and of course sitting out here shelling peas. On the other side of that old dead tree was the garden, which was a bunch of corn, tomatoes, potatoes, beans, cucumbers, watermelons, squash. This old magnolia tree has been there forever, and everything's drooping a little bit because it is so hot and dry. They're kind of having a drought here. Moving on around to the side porch back here, there's a little pump house down there. Between that stub coming out of the ground and the pump house is where I helped Granny burn off some grass, and it just about ran up the hill and caught the house on fire. I took a picture, these old windows here, I took a picture of a lot of the handles and light switches and stuff that are very interesting. I always remember this upper roof here that's green. I don't think it's changed since the time I was a tot. They may have painted it, but now inside, you gotta forgive me because it is a total wreck. I came out as often as I could after Dad passed away, and there's the old building there that had a dynamite in it back in there, and a grain storage bin. This sand, that's why they call it the Sand Hill State or something. They call it the Tar Heel State from all the pines, but those three trees out front have been there since the very beginning. And I'm going to go on in the house now. Same door, I believe. A lot of glass, and hopefully there's enough light in here. This is the front room. This was the guest room, and I remember if I got sunburned, there was a big bed right here backing up to this window, and I laid on there while Mom tried to nurse me back to health. I was blistered, and she felt so bad about it. We'd come back from England. So here's the main living room where a lot of Christmases were had and where guests were greeted when they came in from all really over North and South Carolina and brought their own food. And these double French doors here. This was the dining room, and it had a table. I don't know, it would seat 12 or 14 between here and that brick tin fireplace. Oh, the light fixtures. I got some close-up shots of the chandelier here, but they must be circa 1920 or 30. Old fireplace, they put gas logs in. The old heater grates, I took a picture of that. Ooh, not enough light there. So this was kind of the den. It's kind of an odd, you got the entry from the dining room, the entry from the living room, entry from Granny's room, entry from the back of the house. And the TV and telephone are in here. This was my grandmother's room, Granny. And seems like her bed was right in that corner, and she looked out on the garden there. And I took some pictures right here because this was where she kept her green medicine. Oh, I didn't even know there was a sink in there just for her, or just for the occupant of this room. Green medicine and clothing. The closets weren't entirely large, but, and then it adjoined into Aunt Lena's room. Her bed was right over here. And I noticed these Venetian blinds. Venetian blinds are probably the same. Got plenty of pictures of these doorknobs and all the hardware. They had those big keys. And I got pictures of the light switches too, which are those push button deals. So coming on out of Aunt Lena's room to yet another kind of intersection room between the den, the kitchen, Aunt Lena's room, and the one that goes back to the apartment. That's the bathroom. Not even going to take you in there, but I remember how hard it was just to take a bath and to use the toilet in there. So now we're moving into the kitchen, which is in sorry shape. Pantry back in there. Sink and so forth, which is really bad. The cupboards, I think they still have the shelf liners that were on them, and this, all these great windows everywhere. So we move on back to Walter's room. Me and Tommy and Robbie called it the pad. It was the bachelor pad. So he had put, this is relatively new, shower and toilet and all, and this was kind of the bachelor pad living room. We had a lot of fun back in here. And I noticed a desk that was there from when I was here. And this is the bedroom of the bachelor pad. And I noticed it had these little holes like the pie cooler. Obviously they used to heat everything in the fireplaces. Had these huge chimneys on the house. And this back here was the kitchen to the, this is where Bill and Edna built this whole thing back on back here and built their own kitchen in here. I think obviously some of the wiring is still circa 1940, 50, I don't know, 20. So that is the inside.